volume and let's get started. One pot on fire. Todd and Robbie got the desire. It's the show that'll make you inspired. One pot on fire. Todd and Robbie got the desire.
Suno.ai.
Suno, huh?
Suno.ai. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It is interesting. So anyway, I don't know why it was repeated. It was only supposed to be 30 seconds, but it was going on quite a while.
So what's the copyright situation on that stuff? Do you have any idea?
What's happening here? Did we lose the stream?
Let me check mine.
Rumble. Let me double check, make sure we're still online. Yeah, we're still online. I think I did a.
Okay, I see it in mine. So
Are we on Rumble? Maybe that's what happened. I don't know.
It didn't connect on Rumble.
Yeah, be honest with you, I was like running. We were 5 minutes before the show started. Lucky I had the studio already turned on. And I had recorded something earlier because we were in the middle of launching our AI system today, and that launch went at 2, and then I'm just trying to, do the orchestra thing here, and I looked at the clock, and it was 2:50, like 2:53, and I was like a big F word come out of my mouth. So
Keeping all the balls in the air, right?
Yeah, we're lucky we are even on, and it says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth stream. Okay, is it still complaining? I don't know why that would be the issue. I'm looking here. Anyway, I'm
seeing it too. It says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth stream.
Yeah, I don't know why. Because I think I know why, but it's my mess up. So anyway, it is what it is. We're gonna have to live with it because I was pushing too many buttons. No, so yeah. All right. So anyway, team was in the middle of launching the AI stuff. So it's been a busy week. Of course, Monday was a big day.
Yeah, so let's talk about your video to audio podcast product that you announced. It's kind of cool. It'd be good to kind of give a little demo of that, of which I saw a video online that was linked to in Pod News. I saw. So
yeah, there's really no demo. It's just basically you
screenshot or a screen share.
Yeah, you just you link. Let's see if I can find a show here because you caught me all unready. But basically, all it does is you link. Okay, I've got one here. Hang on here. Let me go find it. Which show do I want to do? Okay,
or just pull up that screen on your page or something.
Yeah, I'm making sure that I've got the right one here. So, nope, it's not that show. I got to get the other one here.
Yeah, I know that we've been talking about for months now the need for the video creators over on YouTube and other platforms to be able to have an audio podcast version of their YouTube show. And it looks like, Todd, your team has done a automation process that can grab a playlist off of YouTube.
Essentially, all the podcaster, they can either originate on our Vid2Pod, or if they're an existing podcaster, it's real simple. Mm-hmm. And when they're in our dashboard, there's a place over here where we have show settings.
Yeah.
So this basically is a place where they normally set if they want a page at Blueberry, or if they want a Blueberry free WordPress site, or if they have their own website. If they own website, they can link it up and all that stuff. But down here, we have a new feature that says Vid2Pod. And all that really is we make it so that you enter your sign. In my case, it's at Geek News.
Mhm.
We pull up in the onboarding process, we pull up the channel. Then we show the playlist, our playlist, and you have to select the right playlist. You confirm that, and it's certifying. This is through the terms of service as well. There's a terms of service screen, special terms of service screen you have to do before you get to this screen. And then you decide, do you want to use your own channel art, or you want to use your own cover art? Do you want to use your channel art from YouTube? Do you want all videos, or you want videos from a certain date? And once that is set, and once a podcaster agrees to that, and again, the terms of service, and why we have to have a separate terms of service is pretty obvious. Number one, giving us permission to pull their content, some other licensing stuff, making sure they know, number two, that if they have music in their video podcasts, that the music licenses will not transfer, and that they should not be using this service because they'll be liable, because if they've used YouTube music as a copyright in their content, that copyright does not cover in an audio podcast. They're not clear. So we make them understand that any music in your podcast has to be licensed. It has to have the appropriate license, and we pull in the title, the description, the chapter file, and we auto-publish the media. So anytime you publish a new episode to a playlist over on YouTube, the playlist you've designated, within 15 minutes, we'll pick that up, pull it in, convert it, and auto-publish. You don't have to do nothing. Set it and forget it. So they can still make additional episodes. They can still participate in anything podcasting. They can still set everything up just like a podcast. But the main process here is we've just completely automated, so they don't have to do anything. And
So I have a couple of questions. Is there a way that, let's say, a YouTube creator can just go to blueberry.com or whatever and say, I want to create a podcast, and all they do is enter their address to YouTube?
Yeah, that's what
like
happens during the
field
onboarding.
or something like that.
Yeah, that's
and
what
it will take you through the process.
Yeah, but they have to come to us via the Vid2Pod page. The special link will set a flag. If they come to us just as from our hosting account, they'll have the opportunity to do the Vid2Pod option after onboarding. It's not part of the normal process, but we can. But basically, we want them to start the process on our Vid2Pod page.
Yeah, because you might capture a lot of YouTubers that are saying, well, this is easy to do.
We already
come
have
over here and I'll put in my path to my YouTube account, and then I can select what channel I want to have go into a podcast feed, and it's pretty much done.
We reached out to folks that already had podcasts on Real Podcasts, aka, and all of them that we reached out to have migrated to us, or they originated with us and they changed the process so that they do not do any additional work. Now that they've migrated, they're over. It's set it and forget it. So now they're saving 15 to 20 minutes. They don't have to come in and create a post. Everything is done automatically.
It just transfers all that data out of YouTube and just uses it in the RSS feed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that's awesome.
And we convert it to high quality audio. Again,
what's the default kind of playback bit rate? Is it
we're doing 128K, and I'd have to look if it was mono or stereo, but
okay. Yeah,
but
I think most of the stuff on YouTube, I think, is in stereo, I believe. But
so, and again, it's one of those things where we just made this so that it would be simple.
Yeah. So is there any kind of authentication of ownership of the YouTube account?
You have to certify that it's your account.
Okay.
We get a daily running report of who's added content that we're reviewing. So, you basically have to certify, and plus you have to have a credit card on file. You have to pay for this. This is, there's no free, there's basically what we've seen and what we saw on other platforms is people on Reddit and other folks have made all kinds of hacks, and they're putting YouTubers' content into apps that are not even podcast apps. And the YouTuber's getting no credit for it. So the way we set this up too was that, if a YouTuber's monetized and they're worried about losing monetization, they can turn on monetization programmatic here. And again, it's an audience. The way we feel this is a growth opportunity. People are going to watch, are going to continue to watch. And then
is there any potential way that, let's say, some Joe Blow podcaster types in Joe Rogan's account and is able to create a podcast?
If they do, it'll be caught really quick on our site because we're reviewing every day.
Good.
And if we run into any type of issue, then we'll go to authentication. But we just wanted to lower the onboarding process. It's not something it's some. Again, they're going to have to pay to do that, and not saying that that's
be worth it, right?
Well, not saying that that's right.
Right.
But we're going to make sure associated accounts are associated accounts.
I would say that's probably the biggest risk there is people getting in and trying to hijack content. So.
Yeah, but the question really then is for what? A few hours?
Yeah, I mean, if there's processes that can catch it, I think that's terrific.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the same problem back when I was working at Spreaker, where people were cloning feeds in the platform, and that caused all sorts of problems.
Yeah, we've seen very, very little of that. Anytime you have to put a credit card on, and I got your
cut down.
I got your credit card information. Your name, your zip code, your billing information. Yeah,
that's a different level, right? Of engagement. And if I think where mainly this kind of stuff happened is on free platforms.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And there's a couple out there that are doing this now for free that I'm surprised that, Yeah.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Well, there's not doing this, not creating an RSS feed, but someone that's basically creating audio.
Oh, yeah. It's like a website that you enter
it's an app.
Your YouTube account.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it exports all the audio or all the video out of there.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah. Awesome. Is there any other details like this? It sounds like, does it work outside of the WordPress plugin and inside the WordPress plugin?
No, it only works on the Blueberry dashboard.
Just on the dashboard. It doesn't yet work in the plugin yet.
No.
Okay.
And we probably won't put it in the plugin, I don't think. Because
if
if you have your own website already, you can link that in the system. So there is a way. If you again, so far we haven't run into anybody that has been publishing via their own website. And then you do, then we'll talk to them, figure out how we're going to work it with them. We'll turn off auto publishing or something, because then they would still have to manually publish on their own website. Yeah,
because that's what I'm doing with your platform right now. Is I publish directly to my WordPress instance that then goes into your system through the plugin.
So I don't have a solution for you on WordPress now. So again, and we figured the majority of these folks that were going to come in over are, those that have a process are. But again, I've moved some people already off other podcast hosting platforms that just want the ease, and they only had over there was a landing page anyway. So.
Yeah, I think it's those that are creating videos that are, serialized over there that have been put into a podcast playlist. So this is any of the playlists, not just the ones that are designated podcast playlists.
Oh, it's anybody, any playlist. Tom says there's so many reaction videos to licensed music, and it seems impossible to police. Disclaimer or not, it's going to be impossible. It's on them. We warned them.
Right.
And
Spotify is going to catch it and take it back. Right.
We warned them, and basically it's very, very clear that, you better have if you've got some music in your content. Matter of fact, you have to click and say that, basically, and if they didn't read the paragraph, I can't help that. But I'm sure somebody's gonna, and we'll get a takedown on a
it'll happen.
piece of content. I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah, and it also creates an interesting loop too, if you think about it, where you could have a playlist video that you import in your system, create a podcast feed, and then that podcast feed could be submitted to YouTube Music. Right.
Rob,
what?
We're trying to get them to come this way.
I know, but it could go both ways. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
right.
Then they should already have that designated as a podcast playlist anyway, not set the RSS feed.
Yeah, but then it would be just an audio only version, right?
Yeah,
so you'd have the video and the audio version.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
So in really what this stemmed from as I came back, Podfest, we had, I was talking to this gal, she says, I'm doing a YouTube channel.
Right.
She's quite adamant with me. I don't have time. I don't have time to do a podcast.
Yeah, it's a hill to climb to,
and it was, and she was pretty, and I'm like, okay. No,
right, and it's automated once you get it set up, right?
Right,
so each time you upload to YouTube, it automatically generates it and posts it.
I emailed her yesterday because I had her in our contact list. I said, hey, and she goes, oh, that's cool. And, so you don't have to do any work.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So we will see how this works out. I'm not saying that there is there's lots of things. There's, the interesting product.
It is. It is. And it changes the conversation around working with, coming out of YouTube and getting involved in podcasting, which I think is,
and again,
making that easier.
And, one of the things that, we really tried to emphasize on the product page is the benefit, the bonus podcast centric opportunities. Number one, they can get a free WordPress site with us if they want. They get an audio player. They can share they can create premium content. They can go into Apple Podcasts that can go into their own Blueberry Premium. So if they want to do premium audio, they can. They can, if they decide they want to, they can add another show and create a true video podcast. So we feel these are all marketing, messaging, training opportunities. They can do V for V. They can do promotions for stuff that's going to happen on their channel. They can do pre-rolls into the audio content. Say, hey, by the way, we're going to have we're having a live YouTube event in a week. We want you to be there. They could pre-roll this into all their audio content.
Yeah.
And the best part is they never have to worry about a platform taking down their content. So, that's some of the bonus stuff, monetizing immediately, distribution, analytics. So, the goal here is to, that's going to be part of our messaging, is to educate. There's a whole nother world over here. You got this great world you're participating in right now. And again, this is really designed for video first, folks. So your video first, then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a need for that. So I think this is a terrific solution. It'd be interesting if we were able to do more of these kind of integrations, right, that can help content creators share content.
Well, we're not done, with this. We're going to add some more.
I don't think you're ever done, Todd.
Well, we're going to add some more platforms to Vid2Pod.
Oh.
Yeah, why not?
That has some interesting things to think about.
Sure.
Yep. So you also announced some AI tools, right?
Well, it's been released, so I think the announcement is going out this afternoon. So, but Blueberry customers now have accessibility to what we're calling Blueberry Pi, PAI, our Blueberry Podcast AI, nickname Blueberry Pie. That's the name of the, a little cheeky there.
So is pi an acronym, or is it just
hey, come on,
a
Rob?
fun
Blueberry Pie. It's
I
just
know,
fun.
I know.
Yeah,
Well,
so it's PAI, so podcast AI.
yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, PAI.
Yeah,
Okay.
PAI is how we're spelling, not PIE. So yeah, the blog and the product page and all that's probably coming to life as we're talking here. But I saw the menu item in the dashboard, so anybody that's in the dashboard can get to it now.
Okay.
And we've given all of our customers 5 free trials of each product, and the media clip creator is heavy in work. I expect that in probably a month. So
let's play out a scenario. So you have a podcaster on your platform that's doing audio now.
Yep.
But yet maybe they have a YouTube channel that has different content on it.
Yep.
How are you bundling that to extend that to maybe that account having 2 podcasts?
Oh, they could. They could add another. Again, this is just getting started here on that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm sure there's examples of that where people create an audio podcast, but they create a different kind of content flow for YouTube. They might be able to convert that to an audio podcast as well.
And here's the thing. It's everything that a normal podcaster does they can do, creating new episodes, creating premium within that same channel.
Right.
They're not limited to what we pull in. They can produce premium. They can do whatever they want. They can go to Apple Podcasts, Apple Premium. They can do everything. And if they want to create a new show, we have the ability to create a new show. If they want to become a video podcaster, they can become a video podcaster. So really, the sky's the limit. The only thing that we're doing is auto-publishing their.
You might want to think about doing a deal with X, maybe, Todd. I had to mention that.
Well, again, we're not done with Vid2Pod.
Right. No, I'm sure that you're not.
It is what it is. Yeah, so those of you that are on our platform, our episode plan, I won't go into everything. There's going to be videos out about this episode planning. We've got the episode production tools, and I'm just showing you the top of the menu system. Let me show you an output.
So what's the scope of the AI capability? What's the top level?
Let's here's the one I did for Geek News Central. I got transcript.
Okay.
Title. I chose my own title. I didn't like the titles that came up with on this one, but we suggest 10 titles. I get a show summary. I get bullet points of the content that's been covered. Oh, I didn't do episode generation on that one. Let me back up. Let me find one. I've got episode generation. Episode art.
Okay.
And episode chapters. So this is a full chapter list of every, the 30 plus topics I talked about in Geek News Central. It automatically marked the chapters, put the time hacks in. I can upload images, do links. But here's
that goes into the player too, I would imagine.
Yeah, all this transfers right into, if I come back to Geek News Central and look at the last episode, you can see the chapter markers on the player. It
also goes into the RSS feed too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then basically, so it's also there too. So we brought it into the player, and it's also in the RSS feed. But if I go back and go to the top of the food chain here, and I go over to the social promotion and the production, we've got the ability to do clips. These are clips for Instagram, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, and I've got the ability to do an email promo as well. We added a little feature in the last minute, because what this does is starts off with with episode planning, and there's a show profile. So my name, first name, last name, email, bio, podcast goal, podcast description, website, social media links, destinations, and then desired audience. So this is the folks you hope listen to your podcast. You can actually set up a profile, and that goes into the episode planning section. But in the end, when we get all done and we're doing clip highlights. I don't think it'll show up on this one because we just added it.
That email capability there that you're generating there, is that moving towards maybe kind of a newsletter type of capability?
This is designed, you cut and paste this and put this right into your email software.
Whatever email platform
and you can
using.
edit it, of course. But it does a great job, and we just, literally in the last half hour, we added, and I haven't created a new email, but we now embed within the actual email your social platforms, your email, your subscribe links to the various. So we basically have that embedded in the AI, melds that in. So I don't want to get too deep into this. You guys can, those of you that are not Blueberry customers, come on over. We'll migrate you today. And here's the beauty. It's just $10 a month it's part of our Thrive plan. So we've got it.
$10 a month in addition to the hosting plan,
but it includes, but it's part of our Thrive bundle. Our Thrive bundle's already got like 6 or 7 additional tools. So we've added a whole bunch of value to our Thrive bundle. So yeah, $10 is the cost per month. So that's cheaper than anybody's AI out there that's doing any AI.
Bundled in with your basic plans?
So you have to have the add-on. You have to have the Thrive add-on.
Okay.
To get the assistant. But again, it's a hell of a value.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, if you were to get the same capabilities, you probably have to have multiple subscriptions.
Basically, choose the language model.
Okay.
And if somebody all of a sudden next week comes out with something that's 5 times better, we will test in a test environment and then click the switch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not locked into any model.
So this has pre-written prompts behind them, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah. The beauty about it is
probably open areas in the prompt to fill with information from each content.
She says, Beauty Bubs, how do I notice images per chapter? Does it mean you'll be able to produce an MP4? No, we're not talking about doing that for YouTube yet. The chapters are purely a Podcasting 2.0 feature that's supported in Podcasting 2.0 apps. And
I can see where this might go in the future, Todd. It's interesting to think about the cross-pollinations that could happen between audio and video here. So when you start thinking about the growing capability of AI video, where's that going to take us?
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
There's lots of options here.
Yeah. I was impressed by some of the AI video that I've been seeing online lately. So
we're not, but again, I'm not doing, it's very, very expensive. So let's say I have 30 chapters. To do 30 images, if I was going to do 30 AI images to add to a chapter file, that's not going to be bundled into a $10 a month plan on top of hosting. Is there a lot of value in that anyway? Well, but no, if someone wants to have 3 minutes of this image, 5 minutes of that image, 8 minutes of another image, if you want to switch the image I'm not going to do video. That's crazy. I'm not doing a full motion video off an audio podcast. That's, at this time, it's crazy how much that would cost. That would be crazy.
Well, it's coming though.
Well, but it's expensive. It's really, really expensive. When you get into generating images, It's just like that little audio clip I just paid. Those are done on credits.
Right.
So, you're not getting that. That is heavy lift. You think about
Strap in.
you get something like that. It's not
But-
inexpensive.
But Todd, I can totally see it happen. So let's say
Oh,
you
yeah.
do an audio podcast and you just use the
AI to create a 90-minute video of this show.
of the same content, right? And then just have a
Have
avatars.
okay. Well, I knocks, and anybody can do that for under, like, at this time, for
Right.
under
No,
100.
it's still early.
Yeah,
it's still early,
real
but-
early. But
Yeah.
do I want to watch some swirling BS on a YouTube channel? I don't know.
Well, if you think about the potential production capability that could be wrapped around that, it could be pretty impressive. So,
Dave Jones says Vid2Pod is a beautiful product. Massive kudos to the whole team.
same thing, Todd, with Rumble too. So
Another 2,222 sats. Not answering your question, Rob. This was from.
well, it's also, what's interesting is that currently right now I have an account at Rumble and then I have a YouTube account and I can synchronize those together.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll transfer videos out of YouTube into Rumble. and populate that
YouTube.
account.
No, they won't do it that way no more. They quit.
They did?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only Rumble to YouTube now.
Oh, so YouTube cut it off.
I think so.
Okay. I kind of did wonder why it didn't look like my Rumble account was full of my YouTube stuff yet. So
2022 stats from Darren Schwartz says, sorry, Rob, I'm with Todd on this one. If you dropped another show's episode in your feed, you'd get an email from me.
Oh.
This is from 2 episodes ago.
Oh, this is the feed drop question.
Yeah.
Right.
If you continue to do it, I'd probably drop you. I don't have time to listen to podcasts. I don't have time to listen to a podcast I subscribe to as it is. Now, a quick host suggestion, if preferred. Also, I like the clips Fountain does. I found a couple new podcasts that way. Go podcasting. Let's see here. Sam Sethi sent. It was actually interviewed by Sam yesterday, so I'm going to be on Pod News on Friday. So anyway, that's what's going on with that. So anyway, live and lit, everybody, on a new podcasting app at podcastapps.com. And we appreciate all of you that stream by the minute, stream as Satoshis. That is greatly appreciated. And
It's an incentive for us to just keep talking for hours and hours.
yeah, well, let me check our Skype here, see if our guest came.
Yeah, that would be great. I think we're over.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. Now let me do some screen changes here because to get you in here. 2, 3. No, I don't want that one. I want this one. 5. Ah, there you are.
What's happening?
RedCircle is in the house.
Caden, right?
What's going on? Caden, yes.
Caden, yeah. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been listening to you guys for a very long time. I listen to you on like 1.5x though. It's a very different experience to listen to you live and get you at the natural pace.
You do know that when you listen at that pace, that your brain gets jacked up, and people have found that when they go back to one-time speed, they have less anxiety in life. So we definitely recommend one-time speed.
Okay, thanks. I'll switch it back. It's sometimes I'm listening to the show it's a show about poker or something for entertainment. I tend not to fast forward, and then when I'm just trying to download industry information directly into my brain like the Matrix, I tend to turn things up and speed it up. But anyway, I've been listening to you guys for years, so it's cool to be on.
Yeah, thanks. So you guys made an announcement today too.
Yeah, we did. It was a really interesting day for us. We launched a new product of ours that we call Open Wrap, which I'm happy to tell you about. Many people think about RedCircle as a podcast hosting company, which we are. We have a podcast hosting business and a competitive product in that space. But the main focus for our business is on host-read advertising and host-read advertising automation. And the product that we released today sort of takes all the stuff that we've been doing over the last several years that helps us build and automate host-read advertising and brings it to podcasts that are not hosted on RedCircle exclusively. So those things used to be tightly coupled, our hosting and distribution, which has its own dynamic insertion technology, and our ad automation. And now we're bringing our ad automation to podcasts that are hosted on other VAST compatible hosting platforms. I just used a lot of jargon, so I'm happy to get into the details.
Let me guess, you are intercepting the download link. You decide if you have an ad inserted ad. If it is, you download the video, reinsert, and serve it, and you incur the hosting bill to deliver that. And if there's no ad, you deliver it from the host.
No, we don't do it that way. I think that's the way what Dynamo did it. That was a product from Voxnest.
Yeah, from Voxnest. I worked on that.
That was an interesting kind of like end around solution to the problem because, but the problem with that is then once you insert the ad and you're the one delivering it, then you're incurring the bandwidth, which is no fun, but doable, but also then can mess with the stats that end up back on the podcaster's host of origin. What we've done instead is we've used a technology called VAST, which is supported by some of the like larger enterprise, the more enterprisey hosting companies. And what it does is it comes from video ad serving, and it's a XML-based protocol, and it lets you kind of instruct the other ad server, hey, insert this ad for me, ping me back after the ad's been inserted. And so we sort of talk server to server directly with the other podcast hosting company.
Yeah, so then you have to do an integration with the hosting company to do it.
It's an open standard, and it's supported by Megaphone and Art19 and Omni and some AdsWiz Simplecast setups. So it's supported by a bunch of those like enterprise hosts already. There's always, when you do these kinds of protocols, there's always little idiosyncrasies to work out when you're integrating. But for the most part, it's functional with all those places without having to do a bunch of custom integrations.
Yeah, when we did the SoundStack for programmatic, ours is a little easier because they just tell us whether they have an ad for this particular, so we serve it when there's no ad, and they serve it when there is an ad, and then they send us log files back. So we get our log files back in the same exact format. So we basically are able to maintain the metric data, and because they basically we agreed on the log format, and
nice.
And then they just pop it back to us. So we thought about doing this for programmatic as well, kind of similar to what you're doing, but it's if there's enough money, it's worth it. I guess that's the key.
Yeah, well, so for us, we've been successful in scaling up the host-read part of our business, which is where we focus. And it was getting to the point where the main limiter for us was the amount of podcasts that we could convince to switch to our hosting. And I think our hosting is great, but I think there's lots of hosting providers that are out there that are great. And so competing over there while also trying to make my main business about advertising was complicated and making it harder for us to scale what we actually cared about, which was delivering host-read ads. And so while we still have a great hosting product and we're not throwing that away or not going to continue iterating on it or anything like that, this enables us to move fast on our ad product and do it on podcasts sort of wherever they live.
Now, without revealing my entire business relationship with SoundStack,
Sure.
So I'll just say that their commission came out of my cut. So I took a less of a cut. So basically, they earn their commission. I earn my commission. I just earn less commission because. So
right.
how are you incentivizing me to work with you?
Yeah, well, the ad side of what we do is our own sales team and our own direct relationships with brands and agencies, and so there's nobody else that's like bringing the demand in from the other side. It's us doing it, and then we have a 30% rev share that we take from. So it's in some ways it sort of functions similar to how an ad rep would work. The only difference is you're not dealing with a million emails and spreadsheets to pull that off. You're just interacting with our application.
But if I'm giving you access to my host, is there incentive for the host to give you access to those customers?
You mean the podcast hosting?
Yeah.
There's different pricing models that those folks have. They do charge like a small like CPM based fee for the actual ad insertion over this technology, but that's the extent of the fees that are being taken by these hosts.
Yeah, that's interesting because I wouldn't give up my host for an insertion fee.
Yeah, I mean, Megaphone's not letting me. They have their own
Yeah,
thing called
yeah.
Span, which is like their programmatic thing that runs above anything else that is inserted
Yeah,
into
yeah. So
the inventory.
So you're getting whatever. Yeah, I understand. Nah.
Yeah,
Well,
their
you
fill
get
rate
some.
is not super, overwhelmingly high, so there's plenty of inventory usually
that's
left
curious.
available. But they're making sure that they get to get the first dibs. And there are other folks that I think recognize that the publisher has an interest in being able to source their own advertising and plug it in and punch it into the dynamic insertion UI that exists in Megaphone. And this isn't really that different. It's just happening a little bit more automated so that the publisher doesn't have to, copy and paste a bunch of measurement pixels or make sure they get the dates correct when they flight the campaign, right? All that is happening automatically on our back end instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I wanted to ask you about too, Mike, is that you say in your announcement that you're automating all the manual steps. Is it just because you're doing it through your own ad sales force, or is there some other aspects of automating the manual steps here? Are you guys doing that between your ad sales folks and the brands? Is there something new going on there, or is it just the automation of working with you guys and not having to deal with it?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the core of what our product is, we started 5 years ago. We released free hosting just to bring some podcasts on. And then we started selling ads by hand. And I've heard Todd talk about this, and you can hear, you can't monetize the network and all these things. Like it's so painful to run these campaigns by hand, right? And you have everything from podcaster says the wrong promo code to we forgot to invoice or the agency didn't pay us on time, or the pixel
or make goods
was formatted for the incorrect.
Yeah.
So every one of those things I just mentioned, we have built systematically features for to streamline and make those part of our application instead of a bunch of emails and spreadsheets. So, as a podcaster, you get an invite to an ad deal where we say, hey, here's the dates and the terms and what's going on. Like, do you want to do it or not? They say yes. And then from then on, the platform is managing everybody's deadlines. It's emailing the advertiser saying, hey, I need a script. The advertiser puts the script in. It's then emailing the podcaster, hey, I need a read. You need to update in 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. And we're sort of herding all these cats. And then again, the pixels and the reporting and all of that stuff, these are features built into the platform. There are things for, podcaster read the wrong promo code, or ad was not approved, or, putting the right CTA in the RSS feed. All these things have features that we built to try and make this as streamlined as possible. And that's why we're doing, I don't know the number offhand, usually like 500 to 600 concurrent host read ads on the platform. We just have like one ad ops person that's kind of being the glue whenever something isn't handled by the platform itself. But it takes a lot of focus and energy to just work on that for many years to get to that point.
Mike, you should have bought my CAMS product.
Yeah.
Because I've had this built for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as deep, but we built the same thing, because it was like herding cats.
Yeah.
And I was running it.
Yeah.
So
the Pied Piper.
Yeah. It was me, and it wasn't as fancy as it did automatically send reports to the media buyers. It did send emails to the podcasters, but we did true host reads. Nothing was inserted. Everything was baked. Because even today, this is what I don't understand. 95%, 96, 97% of podcasts globally get 90% of the lifetime downloads in the first 96 hours. So why do we even want to bother for those shows that are getting this maximum reach within the first? Why even rebuild that? Why not just leave it in there? Sure, there's shows that have long tail.
They have evergreen content,
but the majority of shows in podcasting looks like a hockey stick stood up on end. It's
right.
So
after the Apple changes, it's even more so. The back catalog stuff's kind of even less, right? Details in each of these deals. And if you're doing 3 a week, it's easy to make a mistake. And then you're sending screenshots of reporting and stuff afterwards. So there's all this efficiency that comes with doing it over dynamic, which is why we focus there.
I still, be honest with you, double middle fingers to the media buyers that want pixels. Are they really getting that much value? No,
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think I mean, they're I appreciate
it's a holdover from another era, right?
Yeah. But I think one thing it is really good for, and we find it really interesting when we get our hands on the data, is to see the comparative performance of different podcasts. So forget about like a real ROAS number that comes out of this thing, but just to see like, hey, these two true crime podcasts with 20,000 weekly listeners, that are reading the same set of talking points, one can perform 5 times better than the other. And, what the reason is for that is anybody's guess, right? Is the quality of the ad read, is the relationship that host has with its audience. And so like, me being able to see that as the guy working with the podcaster and the advertiser is like very helpful. But I understand also kind of like people tend to overvalue some of the data that comes out of it in a way that, sort of backs into like a hard ROAS number, but it's still, you got to look at a much bigger picture than just one dot on any down the long tail. But also kind of there's a huge kind of fat torso, it's named after me, of middle class podcasters that are, that have a couple thousand listeners up to a couple tens of thousands of listeners. And when you aggregate those up, they're actually bigger than just this middle zone.
Huge.
And those folks are larger budgets and make sure it gets distributed to podcasts of all shapes and sizes.
Well, I would love to see you guys think about a way to figure out a point system that incentivizes me.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, I haven't thought of.
Yeah, in the end, let's be honest, I'm not greedy, but I'm gonna do the dev work to put something together, which we can do. That dev work's got to be paid for and whatever overhead, and then we obviously you can't cut the pie 25 times. That's because then who gets screwed? The creator gets screwed. So for me, that's why when we worked with SoundStack, they took their commission out of mine, and I just took a lower commission. So and they provide all the, inventory. I don't have to do nothing. I go to sleep and they manage it. So
just collect the paycheck. That's nice.
Well, and not only that, I give the these are podcasters that would not have an opportunity otherwise. They can do value for value. They can do all the other stuff that's available out there if they want. And we see a growing number of folks that are using programmatic, which is good. But we both know where programmatic pricing is. That'll never, if it ever gets above 15, I think Rob, I'll probably eat that hat you're wearing. But
Right.
I'd be thrilled if it stayed at 12 or 13, but usually it's 7, 8, 9, 10, but if we could get to find a way to put money in podcasters' pockets, guess what it does? Doesn't matter if it comes from value for value. Doesn't matter if it comes from donations. Doesn't matter if it comes from advertisers. We put money in podcasters' pockets. Guess what they can do? They hold up that check or that PayPal statement or wherever that money's come in, and maybe they show their partner, or they buy themselves dinner, or they make a car payment, or whatever the number is. This is a motivator. It's just as much as a motivator. If Matt just sent us 2,112 sats, he says watching the show from Spain. So that's again getting value back from Matt for saying, hey, I'm watching the show live, and then Dave Jones says, yo, Mike, hosting companies interviewing other hosting companies. We live in a crazy world. Well, we're really not a hosting company there, Dave. We're doing the new media show. I happen to, be a founder of one, but doesn't mean we're an open opportunity thing here. And you can see I'm wheeling and dealing a little bit at the same time. That was from Dave Jones.
Yeah, I think your point is valid. These vast and programmatic integrations do a lot of work. We've done them before and then found $100 on the other side. It was a disaster. And so, you do want to make sure you're spending your engineers wisely. I think the way these enterprise hosts do it is I think they charge a fee for service. That's just like another approach.
And it's when it goes back to, I'm a creative first. I don't think that's any surprise. So because I'm the one that's getting a check too. I get a check from GoDaddy, and
Mhm.
I protect every point of that I can. So so I get it. I really do. This is cool what you're doing there.
Thanks. Yeah.
This could be done another way. This could be done the way we did it with SoundStack, where it's not as complicated of an implementation. So,
Yeah,
how
that's
are you
interesting.
working the insertion points
So yeah, that's all managed by the podcaster in their existing
in their
hosting
existing
platform,
system?
right? So
Okay,
they
so they
just
set their
say,
marker.
yeah, the way this ends up getting flighted on their end is it's almost like a low priority campaign in their dynamic insertion system that says, my stuff that I flighted for the ads I sold myself go first, and then go down and look at what RedCircle has to offer. And meanwhile, we see those bids that are coming out, or those bid requests, all the time. So we get a feel for how much inventory is available on these shows, and we can use that to figure out how to size campaigns and what to expect.
And when that call
Um,
comes about this day of the month, where the advertiser says, "Oh, hey, I got an extra 25 grand to spend. Can you move that
Right.
for me in 10 days?"
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to get a flight up fast in 2 or 3 days and get that money spent.
That's right. And I think, people, when they think about how to do that effectively, their brain turns to programmatic solutions.
Right.
And I think that in addition to, helping us spread the money around to a larger set of creators by taking out all the friction with this automation, it can also increase the speed at which we deploy these budgets, which makes it possible for those kinds of things to end up in like higher quality, authentic host-read ads instead of Sunday radio ads that can sometimes end up being those last minute ones. Right?
What's the fastest time you've ever flighted a campaign on one of those Friday day calls?
Like an hour or two. I mean, not to 100 podcasts.
Right.
Cats. But we have a button in the platform that's called Start Early. Our typical turnaround time is 10 days, but sometimes if we have to hustle, we hustle, and there's a button that just like makes it go.
Yeah, I think the fastest I turned one was 3 days. So kudos to you for a couple of hours.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, some of my sales guys have the podcasters, phone numbers saved as their favorites. It's like we need, sometimes if you move fast enough, there's dollars to grab for everybody, right?
And this is to all the podcasters listening. Check your email twice a day, please.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that we found. So one of the things we did that really improved the response time was adding text. Yeah, we sent texts. We sent texts 5 days before, 3 days before, 2 days before, 1 day before, and 4 hours before.
Right.
If you haven't hit a deadline.
Right.
That ding is brilliant. My system my system I haven't touched in a while does not have that, but yeah, if we were ever to update it, I think that would be, oh, man. Oh, hey, to get this email. Hey, is that campaign 2 weeks, after the deadline? Hey, is that campaign still available? No. We told you you had 48 hours to respond.
Right. That's an interesting product problem for us too, right? Where it's like, we can, because like I said, it's all automated. We can like reflight the campaign and send it to you the next day. But there's like a give a mouse a cookie problem there too, where we want the deadlines to mean something, so everybody keeps their hair.
And especially if you've got a media. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as much as we have solved a lot of the friction with software, there are still like fundamental people problems involved with this, and any interesting software has to kind of figure out how to best take on those challenges, right?
You see this? I attest this to 5 to 7 years of dealing with media buyers and podcasters who didn't respond to email, and
So
I understand why you guys built what you built. Believe me, I understand completely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I was going to kind of shift the conversation a little bit. I don't know if all of you guys saw the post that Lisa Laporte made, who's the CEO of Twit TV, about the advertising market and why she feels like podcasting is struggling right now. And her top pick was podcast agencies demanding massive ad tech in in what they expect around campaigns. This would be,
Pixels.
all of pixel
Attribution.
tracking, brand safety, suitability tools, all sorts of, kind of attribution type stuff. And whether or not that's kind of adding this expense layer to the advertising business and making it difficult for, like a network to kind of run their own stuff, which is kind of what Lisa's trying to do here, versus working with a hosting platform like RedCircle or Blueberry or whatever is really the only way going forward. Now, are you guys feeling pressured on the cost side and the complexity side around the expectation of agencies and buyers right now around ad tech, around podcasts?
Some. I mean, we the podcast media buying agencies, and there's a relatively small set of them, and we want to maintain as spectacular relationship with them as possible by delivering efficient operations so that they don't have to deal with the exceptions and the problems, and providing high performance content for them to be on. And in the end of the day, they control a lot of the ad spend, especially in HostRed. And so, if they are trying to add services or add complexity to be able to service their client as best as they can, you kind of got to play ball. You don't want to be on their bad side because there's a million podcasts and networks out there, and you want to be servicing them as best you can. I tend to trust that they have the best view of what they need to keep their clients happy in terms of technology, because they're the ones who are really good at closing and maintaining those clients and keeping that spend going. And so I wouldn't say I have a problem with it, but I completely agree with it's a burden. It's complex. Our solution for that is try to build as much software as we can to keep that simple. But yeah, sometimes we got to copy and paste 60 pixels into the software to make the thing work, right? That's a lot.
So there was one thing in her commentary that I kind of took umbrage to.
Right.
And my reply, she complained heavily about the drop because of iOS 17.
Yeah.
And
the drop in downloads and the changes in the consumption side.
And my response was that not everyone was hit as badly as I said. Then you need to be wiser in who you're picking for a measurement provider. Because, as we've talked about on the show, Blueberry saw a little drop because of some of the change in iOS 17, but I didn't get hit on the app having the issue of doing the repeated downloads to try to download back catalog. That wasn't ever an issue with us, which many other folks seem to have an issue with. And I look at I know who's measuring Lisa's shows, and I go, So, maybe podcasters need to be a little wiser in who they pick for a measurement partner.
I think you're shifting quite a burden onto the podcaster there, Todd, by saying that, because
a podcaster,
I don't know that a lot of people know the differences. Supposedly, if they're IAB, they're all doing the same thing.
A podcaster in the doing advertising needs to ask very tough questions of the people that are measuring their shows.
Right.
And if they don't, sorry, that's your business. That's your bundling. And if I'm going to some company and they're going to be measuring my show, I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. Again, people need to realize the IB, podcast measurement guidelines, are the minimum standards.
Right.
Minimum. And when people realize it's the minimum, then what are you doing above and beyond? And even with this new proposal that's coming out, it's the minimum standards. And I think podcasters need to get smart. And again, maybe I do have 19 years behind my belt on this. And
both of us do have a lot on this stuff too, but it's more, when you say minimum standards, that really means that the better platforms will have the capability of doing a better job of filtering and actually ultimately getting a lower number compared to other platforms.
Well, no one wants to ever get a lower number. So that lies
that's
the problem.
That's the key to this whole conversation, is that the IAB has not had a strict, really, standard here, and not everyone adheres to it in the same way, even on the up, or the lower number side, right? Which means that there's other filters being applied that are not required by the IAB.
It's just like now when people are saying, "Oh, we're seeing fraud." Well,
right.
We saw fraud in 2007. So
and you built filters to detect it, right?
And you haven't seen fraud in the past. Well, usually if you're looking at all your data
right.
across the white stack, there's usually like a pipper that pops up. And you're like, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
And that usually that big pipper that shows up in your blog, if you as a platform have a broad dashboard to see all your traffic, not just one show, you say, oh, what is that? And you go, oh, that's fraud, because it sticks out like a red thumb or whatever, sore thumb or whatever.
I wonder why that podcast has 98% of its traffic coming from iTunes on a Windows machine.
Right.
It's not hard to spot. Fraud hunting is actually one of my favorite pastimes.
Me too.
I really enjoy it. I think on this measurement topic, one of the things I think is really interesting as well is, first of all, I think the changes that Apple made were important for the industry.
Yeah.
And, you can say what you want to say about the how it was handled or so on, but those downloads were not high quality, and so I'm glad they're gone. On the other hand, what you're hearing from people, and this is the range of ours, I think was around 20%, sort of what we ended up seeing as a change. 20% decrease in downloads.
I know what you're going to say.
Shows.
Right?
Why is the price not up by 20%?
Exactly.
We just gave a nice big shave to the media buyers.
That's right.
By not adjusting the prices accordingly.
Because performance is the same.
This is a sign. Yeah, right. This performance is the same, but now you're paying 20% less price. And to me, this is a sign that there's kind of still not enough sort of pricing transparency and measurement tooling such that the market itself can find the correct price for these ads. If it stays here at below 25, where it's been for a year or two after kind of the economic sluggishness, that's a sign that something's kind of wrong, right? That the balance of power shifted towards advertisers in a way that is artificial, or it's been too far in publishers' favor for some time. But why hasn't that moved? Something funky about that to me.
Well, this is a second or third time there's been a haircut. The first haircut would have happened really probably before most people in space. It was when Libsyn, Podtrac, and us kind of decided on a semi kind of spec. It was actually the first 8 pages we gave 8 pages of the kind of the first spec that we came up with to the IEB. And that this
was back in 2008.
2008. So there was a big haircut then. I mean, it was, 3-4 little haircuts here, but you're right. Guess what? CPM still 25.
Yeah. It's just, hey, it's 25, it's podcasting.
Yeah. And, the performance hasn't changed. So,
right.
Technically I was getting 25 in 2008. Now think about that. Or 2006. I was getting 25 then.
Inflation, right? With that too.
Yeah. And now it's still at 25. They're getting a heck of a deal.
Yeah.
Well, and there's not a lot of transparency. Right.
I was going to say, it's one of these things where, again, you can see, not enough transparency. You can kind of see how there are remnants of this market from a kind of a radio era where people are kind of, have set this price and this is how it works and this is what we sell it at and everybody's comfortable there. And it doesn't feel like typical digital marketing where the prices are changing dynamically with demand and supply. And I don't know if the result of a more transparent and automated market is going to increase or decrease CPMs. But what I do know is if the amount of value that you're getting changes by 20% and the price doesn't change, something is off there.
Well, then I put it back on your sales teams to push, and I know that's hard. But I also remember going. I went to a city in Texas. Let's just put it that way. leave it random enough. And I was in a meeting, and I was talking with this group, and they showed me a spreadsheet, and it had factoring on it. And the factoring was every podcast network had a factor put on it, a negative factor. No one had a plus. So if the base was this, let's say the base was 20, the factor 50% mean you are only going to get offered 10. And matter of fact, I know one network only offered 5, and Rob probably knows who we're talking about there because they used to count by sixes. So, there was factoring that was put against every network. So the media buyers, in the end, back this data. Every deal they do, they've got a spreadsheet, and then in the end, they don't ever talk. How many times the media buyer told you how many sales they had? They won't.
That's exactly.
They
the
won't
problem.
tell you.
It's rare.
It's rare. I've five in 20 years. And
They don't want you to know.
And
don't want you to know.
and Citrus Go-To-Meeting was the one that I knew exactly where and that's why we got millions of dollars from them when they were advertising direct before they went to an agency. And so if there's factoring being put against every network, what they're really matching in the end is they do the math. It's just a pure math program. They back it out to DR and see what their cost per acquisition was. And they say they don't, but they do. And they determine next ad spend on cost per acquisition when no, we don't do that. They lie.
Well, I think they're pretty transparent, to me at least, that about they're going to make smart buying decisions on behalf of their client. I think the interesting part of that thing that you just said is that it could go both ways, right? So if my network has been network X has been downgraded and is worth 50% of the other ones, then I should understand that, and I should be willing to take a $12 CPM if I'm not filling it for something higher. But podcasters also won't accept that either. So it's sort of going both ways, right? It's everybody thinks it's 25. Everybody thinks they're worth more. Everybody thinks it should be, so there's just no transparency. And I'd like to see that start to evolve. It requires a sort of combination of the performance information with the transaction
Mike,
itself. Which
no one's going to share the direct CPM they ever get. They're not going to share their download numbers either.
Right. And there's not going to be any transparency on ROI coming back from the advertising either, because that puts their buying situation in a compromised
because they don't want to show you how well they did. The example I gave of the biggest mistake GoDaddy made with me when I was renegotiating the very first time in 2005, when I asked her how well did we do, and I was only getting, I'll just say it, I got $300 that first month. Mm-hmm. And because I didn't know what to charge, had no clue.
Yeah.
And they could lie to you too.
She told me 387 new customers, and I went, huh. And I said,
a lot more than $300.
Yeah, and I said I need to get back to you, and I went back and I did the math, and there was nothing to go by. Called her back the next day, and I gave her a number, and just like a good used car salesman, when you've screwed up, she said yes immediately. And in my mind, I'm like, I just went too low.
Right.
And I recovered quick enough. And it's a thing that saved me was I said, I want a performance bonus. And she laughed. And she said, you underbid it, didn't you? And I said, yes, I did. Right. And literally that split moment decision was the difference between some months getting 4 figures and some months getting 5 figures in a return. So, but if I had not been quick, if I'd have been hung over and not quick enough on the uptake, I'd have been stuck at a 4-figure number. So knock on wood, but again, we had nothing to go by, and she told me the performance numbers, and it made me go, but now if that conversation happened today, I'd have come back and said 30,000 a month.
Right.
That's the number. That's what you're going to have to pay for this inventory. And also, companies will never tell you how much it costs them to acquire a customer, especially on DR. They'll never tell you the cost of the acquisition on TV, radio, or if they're even doing print or digital. They won't tell you that. I guarantee you podcasts are performing better.
Yeah. Definitely cheaper.
Yeah, it's not really in their interest to do it.
No,
right?
it's not.
So again, I understand kind of that perspective.
Yeah.
But, in a digital transaction where there is enough volume, also there's price discovery from competitors, right?
Yeah.
So, it should be possible to find a slightly more dynamic market where the price gets set by what the value is instead of, who has the fanciest rate card.
My sign was whenever I knew the campaign wasn't doing well is when you start getting asked for make goods. And when a media buyer called me and asked for make goods, basically, guess what I did? I gave them whatever they wanted because I wanted that check. I wanted that renewal. I had to go podcasters. Hey, we're underperforming. I need 2 more spots or 1 more spot from every show this month. If you want to stay in the campaign you got to give them one. And then we would over deliver to make sure that we made them happy. So they would come back and give us another ad insertion order. So it goes both ways. If you're chasing the dollars, sometimes you got right.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. But sometimes that's worth it, right?
Sometimes
that's you save the relationship with that buyer and they come back, they appreciate it and they come back to you. Sometimes you never hear from them again and it was all transactional.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of get a feel for whether it's worth doing those extra bonuses and added value and all that stuff.
But one thing I do hate with where the industry is now is let me just do a trial buy. Let me buy 1 episode.
That's been going on forever, Todd.
Stupidest thing. It's the worst. It's the worst thing you could do.
2 weeks or 1 week.
Oh, they want 1 episode. 1 episode a month.
Right.
Or just 1 episode. Let's see how it does on 1 episode. I'm like, good Lord. A person just has to fart and miss your ad. Miss your ad. Come on.
Right.
It's just yeah. But they're 25 years old and they know the best.
Well, it
comes out of. Go ahead, Rob.
It comes out of the era of click link marketing campaigns, and a lot of these folks think that this is like a sponsored link on a Google search results page. Is that they should evaluate the campaign based on instant results.
And I haven't done a lot of deals lately, Mike, so I'm kind of out of the loop. You guys know what's going on, so you got a better handle for what these buyers are asking
everything
for.
You've just said sounds familiar to me. But the thing I was going to say is we have had sophisticated buyers who sort of said, look, we've done this for a long time, and I'm sure there's one-off situations where somebody farts or whatever you just said, and missed an episode. But generally, like when we look across the breadth of the data we have, we can buy one time and get a feel for performance enough where we want to, where we that's enough for us to make a long-term buy decision or not. That's amazing. Most of the time when that happens, we sort of say, okay, then we'll go look for other partners because the effort for everybody involved.
Yeah, for one, it's hard.
The podcaster takes all the risks, right?
And again, my philosophy, and if you're a media buyer out there listening, just try my formula once. You got to be on for 15 days. In every episode for 15 days. And if that's a weekly show, you got to be in there twice. And then you look at where your performance is at 15 days. Just take those first 15 days and that's just good if anything comes through. And then after 15 days, then make your decision. That's I guess I'm just old school. But
so also Triton Digital, that document that Lisa shared, or that post that Lisa shared, also included a screenshot to Triton.
Oh.
Digital's comparison of average weekly downloads from 2024 to 2023, and it showed a 41% decline across a lot of the major networks, or at least the ones that are being tracked by Triton, which isn't a complete picture. But
what did PodTrack? How much did PodTrack drop? Do we know? From year to year?
I don't know. I haven't seen that.
Mike, how do you guys do your measuring? You just go off the pixel fire?
So we have for our podcasts that are hosted with us, we have our own stat system, which is based on the IAB, and then we have, but it's not certified. And then for where we're getting pingbacks from, there's the IAB ad delivery thing, and that's what these enterprise hosts use. We get a pingback on a URL very similar to a pixel to say that ad was delivered.
But maybe not listened to.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same
Same thing. Yeah.
It's not. It just means that the bytes were downloaded, nothing else. That Triton tracker thing that you just mentioned. If you look on there, like some of the 42% is not the median between those networks. There were some that were down by like massive percents.
Oh yeah.
And those were ones, I think, if you think about who they are, from what I saw, that have like sort of a lot of daily shows, sometimes with like sometimes with shows that have like multiple clips of a radio show that are produced as multiple episodes released in a day. And so those are the ones with the massive back catalogs that were receiving tons of background traffic, right? That sort of all disappeared overnight.
Right.
So I'm not surprised to see those giant changes. I think, it's funny. I've been listening to all the industry podcasts and reading. Nobody wants to like say the number that they're at. There's February, which is a few days shorter. And so, you don't know exactly the numbers or whatever. Or like, I heard somebody say like, what are you hearing, instead of answering the question. And, I think a lot of places are seeing, 15 to 25% drops. And it has to do with how long your back catalog was. And sure, it has to do with what you said, Todd, about like how much filtering of that kind of stuff you were doing. But there are some folks, I think that including individual podcasts on our platform, that had these, daily sports podcasts with 2,500
the dailies got hit hardest,
where it was really pretty rough. Yeah.
Because
that, and plus a lot of these big networks canceled a bunch of shows. So that's going to impact your numbers too.
And also there's this phenomenon. And the only reason I learned this is because we went one year and we recorded like 60 interviews, and I was putting out interview every day, and I was like, man, these are hurting. They're not getting good numbers. So then we went to every 3 days, and of course that podcast episode stayed in the queue long enough that it was automatically downloaded, and then I come in third day later and put another one in there, and of course that not guaranteed they were listening, but at least it was registering a download, right, or a play. And so daily shows are definitely at a disadvantage per se. So, we're at the bottom of the hour, Rob. We've already made it through here.
We did.
Wow, you're gonna be out in in LA?
I'm not, unfortunately. I have a 7-month-old at home, and we just had a company retreat 2 weeks ago. So I've maxed out on my ability to travel. But my co-founder and the rest of the business, a lot of our team's in LA, so we have a bunch of people there.
Yeah, I damaged a rib on Saturday. I fell down in a
bummer.
Water in a rainstorm, and I'm going, but I'm going to be stiff because it's either cracked or displaced or something. It's not good. So I'll be wobbling around. Rob, is there any other questions you had for Mike, or any thoughts?
Yeah, Mike, why don't you share with us how a person can, or where a person can go to find out more information about your new platform? Is there a landing page or something?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest thing to do is just go to redcircle.com, and then there's a button at the top for either ad platform, or in the features section, there's a thing for Open Wrap, depending on whether you're an advertiser or a podcaster. And we're doing a special deal. We're like zeroing out our commission on your first host red deal with us up to $250 if you sign up for the waitlist. We are doing a waitlist because there are some of these third-party platforms that we theoretically can connect to with VAST, but we haven't done yet. And so we sort of need to work through some of those example podcasts. But we've got the thing up and running now, and it's working great on a couple of hosts. But yeah, redcircle.com is the place to go, and just sign up and add your name to the wait list.
And think about that other opportunity there, Mike.
Yeah, I'll shoot you an email about that. I think that's interesting.
Interesting way to, because guess what? I'd rather you lose your hair than me lose mine. I have nothing left, so
there's obviously more to lose there.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Well, COVID already took a bunch from me, but so it's only a matter of time.
Rob,
Right.
I will be in LA next week, so you're doing your own little thing. Are you going to try to do a independent new media show, or what are you thinking?
Well, we could do one if you want to do one earlier in the day. That's fine.
Yeah, let's see.
The live show that I'm doing is at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, this Vid2Pod thing is getting my calendar pretty filled up already by YouTubers that are going to be at the event. They want to talk, so it's not complicated. Just go over and sign up.
Right.
Anyway, Todd at blueberry.com, at Geek News on X, at Geek News and at geeknews.chat on Mastodon. Did I say that right? Rob?
On X, Twitter as well, at Rob Greenlee, and then off of YouTube, at Rob Greenlee as well. You can find me over there. And if you want to reach out, my email address is robgreenlee@gmail.com. I'm happy to hear from you. So,
And we want to thank all the live boosts and streaming sats that came in today. We're live. I was going to ask you, Mike, before we left, do you listen to Adam and Dave?
I do, yeah. I'm a consistent listener, and I'm into all that stuff. And at one point, RedCircle had its own Lightning node running in our production infrastructure, and I lost $300 of the business. When I corrupted some Bitcoin. So I've been farting around with all that stuff as well.
We had some news from Get Alby today. There's something coming from them. So, but anyway, so you can't monetize the network according to Adam. But you put $16 million in people's pockets, so I think
something's working.
I think that's pretty good.
I think that counts good.
Yeah, I think that counts good. All right, buddy. Thanks for being here, and we'll keep you advised via social what's going on if Rob and I are able to pull one off, and if not, if we don't do it live, then or do some weird hour, it'll be in the feed. So, everyone, thanks for being here, and Mike, thanks for coming too. Everybody, take care.